Yo, what's up you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be working on 350Z. So last video we dropped the transmission because the clutch pedal wasn't engaging anymore, and we noticed that the clutch disc needed to be replaced. So I bought the whole clutch kit. I actually did get another slave as well. So the kit I got is a 1.5, it's a Zspeed 1.5 drift kit. It's a 6-buck clutch. This is a new disc right here. This is a 6-buck, and then this is a pressure plate I got. It's pretty much the whole kit. They sell it as a kit. So it came with a pressure plate, the clutch, and the flywheel. But this is the kit I got. So this is pretty much deletes that setup that's in the transmission, deletes this clutch slave cylinder that's in the transmission, and puts it outside. So I don't know if you guys know, the DE comes with a slave outside, so if it goes out you can just replace it like that. But they made it so where if the slave goes out, you have to pretty much just drop the whole transmission. So you know, I wanted to get rid of that, so I got this kit. So pretty much it just places the slave out here, so if it does go out, I can just replace the slave. It's like 30 bucks, 40 bucks instead of dropping the whole transmission again. So this is the kit I got for the slave. It's a CMAK V3 for the 350Z HR. I'll show you guys what it comes with. So it comes with a little dust shield, this so nothing gets in the transmission. And then it comes with a bracket. This was going to be going right here. This is like the fork pretty much. We're going to be removing these bolts, holding the thing right here, and it comes with these spacers. I'll show you guys how it goes right now, but pretty much it comes with this bracket. This is the actual slave. So this is what I was showing you guys. This is going to be placed outside now, so if it does go out, you can just replace it by removing these two bolts. You don't gotta take down the transmission again. So that's a good thing about this kit. It also comes with this. This is the hardware. It comes with this bolt, the bolts that go right here at the bottom, and this is the actual throttle bearing, so you can replace this on its own as well now. This is what's going to be holding the throttle bearing. I'll show you guys how it goes, but it pretty much goes behind this thing, and then that's pretty much it, just your clutch line. So they do send you another stainless steel clutch line. And for the fluid, I actually did get OEM fluid because I looked in the forums and I saw a lot of mixed comments about the red line and the OEM fluid, so I ended up just going the safe route and getting the OEM. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna install is the CMAK kit. So I'm gonna remove this old clutch slave cylinder and throttle bearing assembly. So the only thing holding the actual slave is these 5mm Allen key bolts. Alright, so there you go. The old slave is off. It had this bracket. It was held on by two 3mm Allen key bolts, and then this one was held on by another 3, but they were 5mm. So I'm gonna just clean this up a little bit and get it ready for the new parts. So this bracket goes on top of this guide, and the bracket has 3 grooves. So you're gonna see the little grooves right here, and that's the way it goes. You cannot put it wrong pretty much because the grooves go in there. So once you have the grooves in there, you can install the 2 bolts. But this is the thread locker that I got. I actually did find some in here, but I didn't find the one they're recommending. But I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the same thing. It's blue, so it shouldn't make a difference. And you do have to torque these 2 little bolts to factory spec. So the factory spec for these 2 are 80-inch pounds. All right, so now that I got these 2 bolts torqued to spec, I'm gonna remove these 5 front cover bolts. It's this one, and then these 3 at the bottom. That's where the bracket's gonna go. Alright, so now that I got those 5 bolts out, I'm gonna put the release bearing on the actual fork. So you see these little grooves, pretty much those go in here, and you do have to grease up the pretty much wherever it touches. So I put grease on these 2 little things right here and inside the actual bearing. So this is pretty much how this thing goes. That's how it holds the release bearing. So I thought this thing was gonna come with spacers because I saw the old kit came with spacers, but I noticed that these actually come in welded now, so that's actually way better. You don't have to hold the spacer while trying to put in the bolts. So yeah, I'm gonna just put this in and then tighten those 5 bolts. Alright, so I am gonna tighten these up by hand, and I'm gonna torque them up to 20 foot-pounds. So once you put these bolts on, you don't want this cover to leak. So what I did is I torqued this bottom one to 20 foot-pounds first, then I torqued this top one, and then once I had those torqued, I torqued the last remaining 3. All right, so the last thing for the CMAK is just pretty much the slave, the bracket, and this little shield. So I'm gonna put on this little boot and then the slave. tying this one all the way up yet because one of the starter bolts is gonna go through this little hole. So I'm gonna just leave it loose, and once I put the starter bolt, I actually tie this one. All right, so the CMAK kit is pretty much all installed. Everything on the trans is pretty much done. Now I'm gonna take off the flywheel on the motor, and I'm gonna take off this little pilot bearing because I got a new one, so I'm gonna replace that. I got this tool to take it off. It's a pilot bearing puller. Without this thing, you're not gonna be able to do it. It pretty much has 2 little feet, and then you pretty much tighten it, and it pulls it out. And then this one, I'm gonna just put it in with a socket. So this little bearing is the pilot bearing. This is the one I'm gonna take out. All right, so I got the tool on pretty much. I got the 2 little feet in there. You can see the 2 little feet are in there, and pretty much as you tighten this, as soon as you tighten it, it pulls the actual bearing out. So while you tighten it, it's pulling it out. So that's how you take out the pilot bearing. This is the old one right here, and I'll put in this new one with just a socket. Just try to find a socket that fits the same size as this, the outer layer, and you should be fine. So I'm actually gonna change the clutch line before I put on the trans. So to take off the clutch line, this little 10mm pretty much nut right there, and this little bracket. So once you take that off, you can take off the line. And then this is the new one, so it's pretty much the same thing. Just put on the little 10mm, and this goes to the slave. All right, so I got the clutch line on, the pilot bearing on. So now I'm gonna put on the flywheel. But the flywheel, it has the regular bolts on this, but you can see this little hole. That has a pin on the motor side. That little pin has to go in there. So that's how you align the flywheel. Alright, so I got the flywheel bolts torqued already. Now I'll put on the disc and the pressure plate. But for the disc, this is the alignment tool. Pretty much these grooves fit perfectly in the actual disc, and then this end piece right here fits perfect in here in the actual engine. So you put the disc, this is the pressure plate side, and this is the engine side. On here they actually marked it, but you can see which side it is just because of this right here. It's a little lifted up on this side, and on this side it's not. It's just straight. So I'll put on the disc and then the pressure plate right now. Alright, so pretty much that's how it goes. This goes centered, the clutches go centered, and then the actual pressure plate has little teeth right here, little grooves. So this one goes in here, and then this one goes in here, and that's how you align this one. And then I'm gonna just put on all these bolts back on and torque them, and that should be it for the clutch. And I'm gonna just put on the trans after this. All right, so all these bolts, I hand tightened them because you don't want them going uneven. So you don't want to fully tighten this one and then do this one and this one. So pretty much you want to do them all at the same time slowly. So I already have them snug. Now I'm gonna torque them to 11 foot-pounds, and once I have them all at 11 foot-pounds, I'm gonna do 29 foot-pounds. All right, so I already torqued all of them to 29 foot-pounds. But this little alignment tool, you want to make sure it just slides in and out pretty easy. As long as it slides in and out, you're fine. As long as this little thing goes in the pilot bearing and in the grooves, you should be fine to put in the transmission. So pretty much done with this. Now I'm gonna install the transmission. All right, so I finally got the transmission back up. I put on the bell housing over here, and then on the other side I only put 2. So I'm gonna finish putting on all the bell housing bolts, and then I'm gonna put on the drive shaft. So I was struggling to put it on because the trans jack wasn't letting me pretty much align it in the middle, like the little shaft. So I took off this little boot, and through here you could actually see the shaft through the middle aligning. So you could try that, or you could like lift up the motor a little bit so it can align and be even with the shaft. So I actually had to take off the slave again off the bracket because this little bracket, it takes a little 14mm right here to the bottom, and the other one is to the starter. So that hole is to the starter. So for you to be able to put that bowl in there, you gotta have this off first. And then to put on the slave, the bowl goes to the top, and then it takes a little spacer in the middle, and then the nut through the bottom. So now that I got all that stuff on, I'm gonna put on the harness, and then I'm actually gonna put on these 14mm bolts for the mount so it can just hold on its own. And then I'll move to the shifter. All right, so I already put everything through the top, and I also put this little dust boot, so I'm gonna just put on the drive shaft now. All right, so I got the drive shaft bolted up. Now I'm gonna put on the Y pipe, and once I have this on, I'm gonna just put on this little bracket, the other bracket, and then the little just shields. I also got to put on the sway bar, but I'm gonna put that last. Alright, so everything's bolted up now, everything's finished down there. Only thing I need to do is add the fluid. So I'm gonna add, I think it's like 3.5 quarts, so I got 4, and this little pump I'm gonna use. So I got this from Harbor Freight. It was like 10 bucks, but you can use this or you can do it by hand, but this is gonna be way easier. So I'm gonna do this fluid, and then I'm gonna do the clutch fluid. Alright, so this is the drain bolt for the transmission. This is the fill. So as soon as it starts leaking from here, I'm gonna add the fluid. As soon as it starts leaking, it means it's full. Alright, so I just bled everything, and there's no leaks or anything so far. So I'm gonna turn on the car, see how the clutch pedal feels, and hopefully nothing's leaking. Alright, so the car's running now. I'm gonna just let it idle for a little bit. I'm gonna let it warm up because it's been sitting for a couple weeks, and then I'm gonna take it down and go for a test drive. Alright, so I've been driving the car. I barely drove it like a couple miles, but you can already tell the difference, like in the engagement point on the clutch. As soon as you let it go, it actually engages. Like before, it used to be like really long. It used to feel like a long clutch. Now it's just, you barely let it go and it already engages. So I'm gonna keep driving the car around. I believe there's a 300 to 500 mile braking period, so I'm gonna brake in the clutch before I do anything else. Hopefully it doesn't leak or anything. And right now it is driving perfect, so I am gonna end the video here. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.